Good morning. Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. Good to have you with us this morning. We've got a special show coming your way. We're going to highlight a longtime partner of HCC and HCCTV and the Houston community. Before we get to that, my co-host this morning, he's been on the show before. You know him, you love him. Our chief broadcast engineer, big title there. Chris Bourne is joining us live from the HCCTV studios, but he's in the break room right now. Chris?
Break conference room. You forgot go-to guy. I have a new title. You've heard of the It Girl. I'm the go-to guy. But it's a nice moniker to have.
Yeah, we were, I guess today would have been the day. I probably should have gone in and went live at the studio, but you guys have a lot going on at the HCCTV studios. Just to warn everybody, my building is testing fire alarms today. It went off literally for like 15 minutes. I didn't know if I was going to do the show. There's a lot going on. So if I bail out during the live show, it's because the fire alarms are going off again. So Chris has already been warned, and he's ready. Oh, and there's somebody right there, Chris, at my door. Let me turn things over to you, and I'll jump right back in. And you can introduce our guest.
Well, thanks, Todd. And everybody thinks that television is just this magical thing that happens. They don't understand the work that goes on behind the scenes. And certainly that's something that Larry's done, not only in his efforts as a citizen, but as a television presenter and producer and host. Those are a lot of things that are unique to his abilities. So we'll say hello to Larry in a second here, but we just wanted to set up a little bit about why we did this and what it means to us, and then we will move on to the main attraction here. But certainly, Larry has been a fixture of HCC TV programming for over 30 years, 32 to be exact. And if you've ever done anything for a period of time, you know that's quite a milestone. It's especially in television. As I mentioned before, some people think this stuff is easy because we all walk around with these smartphones and we take videos and we record events and things like that. But putting a show together that has content that's impactful, meaningful, and enlightening is takes a bit of effort. And Larry has done that on a regular basis over those 32 years. And it's no small feat. So, putting all that together, presenting it, and making it entertaining and engaging to watch is a real accomplishment. And so we recognize that accomplishment. We also recognize, Larry as a person. And, we've worked with many different people here at HCC TV, and most of us have worked other places. So we've had experience in the industry over the years. And I have to say that Larry has been one of the more enjoyable, if not the most enjoyable and conscientious person to work with during that time that he's been here with HCC TV, and I've been here. And that says a lot. It doesn't take much for me to get frazzled and turn into a bit of a jerk. I've never seen Larry get frazzled or get quick with anybody. So anyway, enough about Larry as a great person. We're going to talk about that for the rest of the show and some of the legacy that he has brought and will give and has given to the community. But Dialogue Houston, interesting show. It's taken us many places over the years. I believe that, as I mentioned in the special, that Larry's kind of a best friend. He's everything that you would want a best friend to be. A good listener, very supportive, and he's consistent. When he says something, he does it. He follows through. We were just talking before the show about some things that most people might have let slip or not circle back on. But Larry was right on top of it, and that's always nice to see and to hear. And I think he's enlightened too. I think his his time here on earth has been an enlightening experience for him that he's able to share with others. It's a unique gift. A lot of people don't have the language to share that sort of stuff with others. And Larry has cultivated that ability over a period of time. And I continue to see him grow on the show and to have an impact with the viewers. So, he's become part of our family here at HCC as well, HCCTV, including HCC. And we've shared his moments, special moments, his wedding and his anniversaries during the period of time, and those are all very special experiences. He's brought us into some of the projects that he's worked with. I met Stephen Kleinberg through Larry, and while this isn't the Stephen Kleinberg show, Stephen Kleinberg ran a institute over at Rice University that over a period of time did quite extensive studies of Houston and the metropolitan area demographics, which allowed us to glean incredible insights about the future of the United States and America. And Larry was a very, very strong partner with Dr. Kleinberg and friend. Had him on the show numerous times. I think he may have even been on the first show, but we can ask Larry that question here in a moment. Todd was going to ask me a few questions, and because of our pivoting here in our format, I've just kind of went on a little monologue here. Todd, is there anything that you have to circle back on with me, or are you able to right now, or are we still... Todd is still experiencing his alarm issues. Well, let me just say one more thing that I wanted to talk with Larry about in the special, and I want to start with this. Larry's show is called Dialogue Houston, and before I introduce him, I want to say one thing that is one of the fonder memories of working with him. I mentioned the meeting Dr. Kleinberg. But another comment that Larry has mentioned a few times is, I think it's a quote from William James, and it's whenever two people meet, there are really six people present. There is each person as they see themselves, each person as the other person sees them, and each person as they really are. And this special that we've done with Larry hopefully gives you some insight as to the person Larry really is. What brought him to today, what made him the person that he is. And here with us this morning, today, on Up to the Minute, we have our special guest, Larry Payne, and I'm going to let him tell you more about himself than I could ever begin to tell you. Larry, good morning, and thank you for being a part of this show.
Morning, and thank you for that introduction. I feel I should leave the room after the introduction, but that's okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, it's certainly longer than the one that I did on the special, but I really wanted to highlight how much life you've packed into your time here on Earth. I mean, that's what a great gift, and I think some people let it pass them by. I don't think much has passed you by, Larry.
Well, I've been blessed. Let me just say I'm humbled. I've been blessed. I have a sense of gratitude about it all. I've been fortunate in a kind of bird's eye view to be privy to seeing some things and being around and witnessing some things here in Houston. I've had the chance to work with great people, great leaders, great leadership, visionaries, and to really kind of see how things work from the inside. 50 years I've been at this now, 50 years this year. Mayor Turner is my 8th mayor that I've worked with or for. So I've seen the evolution of the city and its ups and downs. I've been deputy city controller for a while, so I understand how the finances of the city works or does not work. So it's been an interesting perspective. Run a couple of congressional offices. And so you get to see a lot of things and witness some things, and enables you to put the puzzles together, to put the pieces, to connect the dots, to follow the money. All those things you hear about that we talk about, You get to see them played out. But as you said so well, Ty, it's the ability to see it and connect the dots and to make it work. Because what happens in that process is you have to bring people into the process. You have to have people involved. You have to listen to them. You have to hear their perspective, ideas, opinions, and viewpoints. Not their facts. They're entitled to our perspective, opinion, viewpoints, but not our own facts. And then you have to consolidate. You have to negotiate. You have to compromise. You have to find common ground. You have to do all those things with human beings, because human beings are messy. They're just messy creatures to work with. And so you have to have the patience, perseverance, and persistence to get it done. And I appreciate that.
Well, that's one of the things that I really was attracted to with your show. I certainly wasn't here from the beginning, and I want to ask you about how you started that. But real quick, as a quick point, I guess that's one of the things that attracted me to your show is that you weren't telling people you need to do this and this is what needs to happen, and you were bringing them to the water, so to speak. And if it's a much more powerful thing for people to take the initiative themselves and to feel like they've been coerced into it. And I think that's what I get quite powerfully from Dialogue Houston is the issues are explored, the levers that can be worked to have impact or to make change are explained, but it's up to the person to take the action.
Well, Chris, you're so right. You have to engage people in their own decision-making process. You have to involve them. They have the solutions to their own problems. You just have to be willing to work with them and work through that process. I've always said it's not what you think people think that matters, it's what people think that matters. It's not what I think you think that matters, it's what you think that matters, because that's what you're living from. That's your reality. That's your right. And your right is reality. Sometimes your right can be wrong is wrong, but nonetheless, that right is your reality. So how do I work with that and to work through that and help you understand the challenges and opportunities that go with that? It is all about, I said earlier, it's all compromise negotiations. It's all common ground. It's all middle ground. It's all finding whatever you want to call it these days, from the red to the blue, finding purple, a shade of purple that we all can work together and get along. It's all about humanity. It's bringing humanity back into the equation. It's all those things we know as human beings, but we get so far away from because we get caught up in all the hyperbolic discussion, all the polarization, all the anger and fear and anxiety that the society can create in a heartbeat. And it takes someone willing to take a step back and to begin to realize, how do we process this stuff? And how do we use our internal filtering system to process, and the head, the heart, and the gut, to think, to feel, to act? What do I think? Not what people tell me to think, not what they want me to think. What do I think? And after I take the time to reflect and meditate and believe what I think, what do I feel about what I say, I think, and believe? And therefore, what I say, I think, and believe and feel strongly about, what action and behaviors am I called to perform? It's always been a simple process. Action behavior takes on two forms: letting go of negative action behaviors and taking on positive ones. So it's the willingness to take that step back, to do our own work, to be honest with ourselves, to look at that face in the mirror in the morning and be honest to thyself, and begin to realize, how do I want to fit into this society and to this reality? Whether I agree with the reality or not, it ain't going to change. I have to find my place and role in it, to be successful, to be happy, and to find joy. I think that's really the issue, to find joy in life. Human beings were not meant just to survive, to fight every day just to thrive. We were meant to flourish. And how do we figure out to help individuals first, your own self, and then others to flourish to the fullness of their God-given potential? That's why we're here, to serve, to help others achieve their full potential.
Well said. And, I've heard this saying attributed to Goethe and many other people, but the journey of a 1,000 miles starts with one step.
First step. Yes, sir.
First step. And so, you do promote people stepping and getting themselves, putting themselves in motion. And it's like exercise. I feel better after I exercise, but getting myself into the gym or moving with that is difficult. And I think it's an inherent human trait that we're overly contemplative, maybe.
Yeah.
Some people may call it procrastination,
Right.
but I think that's a real turning point in like they say, you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Right.
I think our inactivity sometimes is what stalls us from taking action, participating, and it's the tools that you're giving and have given are the process to take action, to get yourself moving, and the why, the how and the why, both.
Right. There's so much that needs to be done. So part of it is to distinguish, never do for someone what they can do for themselves. That's one of the first rules. Because you need them, if they're able to do it for themselves, to show them and to help them, point them in the right direction so they can do it for themselves. That learned helplessness or that feeling that I can't, I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough. No, you know what to do. You just need to go do it. Besides, I need to free myself up to go help someone who really needs me, who can't do for themselves because of the issues of inequalities, inequities, disparities, all those things that go with that equation. We need to understand that is important to be able to delineate and distinguish between those group of individuals or that you're trying to help and serve, because it's so important to have time to work with those who really need us. And in this environment, in this era, in this kind of where we are now, it's all about equity. It's all about equity or the lack of equity. And we've come to understand very clearly in these last few years, we had it understood before COVID. COVID just drove it home even stronger, that the road to equity is through empathy. The road to equity is through empathy. There is no equity without empathy. And the way you get to empathy is through relationships. We have to develop those relationships, nurture, develop, and cherish those relationships so we can have mutual trust and respect, because nothing happens without trust. So I'm trying to get to this equity thing, which everybody says is the key, which really is the key. The only way I'm going to get there is through empathy, and I have an empathetic heart and compassion. And the way I get there is to develop relationships with my fellow human beings, those that I do know, those that I do not know, those that I dislike, those that I have challenges with. Still need to develop their relationships so that you can build that mutual trust and respect. Because the thing that's so missing in so many of our equations and our discussions and conversations and dialogue is trust. The trust level is so low these days. Yeah. And so it's hard to get people together to work on a common project, to come to common solutions, because we haven't taken the time to develop the relationships. Therefore, we don't really know the person, and therefore we don't trust the person.
Well, Larry, I feel that we have a relationship, and it may be quite obvious to everyone else, but many times after your show finished, I would come up and talk with you and ask questions. And I remember one time, I forget what the question was, but it was me asking about context in a situation, and I said, "Well, would we get along?" That kind of a perspective that I'm sure is the start of many conversations. And you said, "Well, we all get along when we dance, eat, or sing." I think that was kind of the context of your response, and it made me reflect a lot deeper than I had before. That just because we might attend an event with some people or go to a concert with some people, we don't know those people. And it takes a little effort on our parts to get to know people. Because if you don't know people, you can just form your own opinions or believe other people's opinions. And that's your context, as opposed to that first person knowledge or really having a relationship, like you said.
Phone calling and emailing and texting does not develop the type of relationships we're talking about. The way you get to that type of relationship is time spent with each other. I always refer to it as breaking bread together across a table, eyeball to eyeball, where you can see and talk to the other person. You can hear the tonality, inflection changes in their voice when you're talking about different subject matters. You can see the intensity, the stress on their face when you bring up certain things, because that's the way human beings relate to each other. And it's important that we go back to the breaking of the bread together and spending time together.
In-person dialogue, if I may.
And in person, that's what I'm getting at. Yes, by all means, in person.
In person. Well, let's give some folks a little historical context, because this didn't just start today with you being a guest on the show.
Right.
How did you start with HCCTV? I think I know the answer, but it happened a few years before I came on the scene.
Yes. I am drawing a total blank at the moment. I can see his face. One of the early general managers of the station.
Vince Hamilton?
Vince Hamilton. Thank you very much, Vince. I apologize for that. Vince Hamilton and I, in a conversation, just kind of in a casual conversation about issues that were going on in the city, he mentioned that he would like to do something on HCCTV. I had a show on radio for many, many years called Interchange on KPFT. Yeah. Interchange at the time, Vince talked to me about Dialogue Houston, had been on KPFT for about 15 years. So I had a somewhat of a following, and we had guests, just kind of like we're doing with Dialogue Houston, but in a radio format. So I came over, and I got to give this name all the credit in the world right up front. Billy Bryant is kind of she is the backbone, the source of Dialogue Houston, the script, the goalpost, the mechanism that holds it all up and holds it together over these many, many, many years. We started in I call it the Quonset hut, across from what is now the National Buffalo Soldiers Museum, building where I think the police are now, maybe. And we had one camera. We had something that passed as a set. We called it a set. And the other saint in this was Jay.
Smith, yeah.
Jay Smith. And Jay, it was Jay, Willie, and I, basically. And we, and a couple other folk would come in and try to help a little bit as they could. But we made it work. And we made it work quite well. And your memory was correct. Dr. Stephen Kleinberg was my first guest. And he was to be as you remember the other day, he was to be my, not last guest. He was going to be on as he leaves Houston. We had technical difficulties that day, so we were unable to do it. We were going to reschedule him, and we'll just do it by Zoom from Washington. But yes, and so it's been a great run. We've had a little bit of everyone, cross-section of Houstonians, and every possible definition of cross-section, from diversity to government to business to politics to nonprofit to university to science to the healthcare to you name it. A little bit everybody.
Well, let me jump in real quick here, because I have a question that I wanted to get an answer to. Which guest surprised you over those 32 years? Are there any that just you remember or have a recollection of that opened your eyes?
Yes. Dr. Lovell Jones. Dr. Jones is one of those guys who is brilliant, but also shoots from the hip. He was very honest. The discussion about health inequities, health disparities. He had all the data and statistics. He's now retired. He's writing a book. He made the medical community listen to his issues and to understand how pervasive the inequities are and how such a negative effect they have on communities of color. And he used the videotape interview with us to then present it to a larger group. So he and I kind of worked on the questions that we're going to ask him that day, so he'd have a kind of a roadmap to follow. I wanted to make sure we got in what he wanted to talk about. Yes, I remember that one quite well.
Well, Larry, we're getting near the end of the show, but what you just talked about was following up on our question about context and perspective, and I think that's one of the things that you're so good at is the making people feel comfortable and getting them to share their perspectives and the context that we so need to help understand our community and to help have that dialogue that the show is based on. And I see Todd has joined us again, and Todd, is there anything that you wanted to
well,
add?
Yeah, I apologize. I wasn't able to be in the room for most of the show because of some alarms going off in my apartment complex. But, Larry, I just want to take a moment and thank you for, your service with HCC and HCCTV. We appreciate everything you do. And, I see you out and about in the community, and I know that being a servant of the community is a big thing for you. And I want to commend you for that. And thank you for the years you put in here, 30 years, and I don't think people realize how much you actually mean to us here at HCCTV and really to the Houston community. So thank you for being on the show today. And we wish you continued success. And we want to have you here for another 30 years.
Thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. I look forward to it. It's been a labor of love. It's been a great community civic engagement process. To give back and to serve the community through HCCTV. I think we've covered some great subjects and titles and projects over the years with people who are really knowledgeable, compassionate, and who love the city. That's what has come across in almost every guest we've had, how much they truly love Houston and they want it to be a better city. They want it to work for everyone, and they want to make sure that they play their role and part in helping to do that.
Well, Larry, thank you once again. Thank you for being here. We'll see you on Dialogue Houston. And Chris, great job taking over, steering the ship for us here today. We appreciate that as well. And thanks to all of you. Yep, thanks to all of you for joining us this morning on Up to the Minute. Of course, we're live every morning, 10 a.m. when HCC is in session. We'll see you tomorrow morning, live, 10 a.m.